What's up, positive bitches? How are we doing today? If you're hearing this episode, you are meant to be here, so keep listening. On That Bitch's Positive podcast, sometimes we will laugh. Other times, baby girl, we're gonna cry. But we will always walk away feeling our most positive bitch self. That is babe in total connection with herself. That's right. On this podcast, we are all about unbecoming who we are not so we can fully embody exactly who the fuck we came here to be. Today, we are talking how not to be insecure around the 3 Ps. Now, you may be wondering, Cece, what on God's green earth are the 3 Ps? And I would tell you, the 3 Ps happens to be something I made up, but it's valid. It is the people we perceive as pretty, as popular, and or powerful. Something really interesting happens to us when we walk into a room and we deem other people as prettier or more popular or more powerful. We start to energetically chase them and we abandon our own worth. We abandon our own strengths. We abandon who we are and we become like this little measle, just chasing like a rat chases cheese. And we feel terrible while doing it. It's not like we're having fun feeling like we're a piece of shit. That's never fun. So we're going to talk about how to transcend this mindset that these people are better than us because of what we're perceiving as their strengths. And we're going to talk about how we can fully step in to our own power. That's right. If you are live right now and you're listening to this, you have power in your body. You've come here with a very specific mission. What the fuck are you doing worrying about other people? What are we doing here? We got to refocus. We got to reset, rejuvenate, rebirth, and then we're ready to go. Before we get into today's episode, a couple of announcements. If you're not following me at Vibin with Cece, VIBIN with CII on Instagram and at That Bitch is Positive on Instagram, be sure to follow me there for daily golden nuggets that will blow your mind, put you on your pedestal, and have you feeling like your most magnetic self. I recently also released a divine feminine healing workbook. If you want to learn how to balance your divine feminine and masculine energies, if you want to learn how to anchor in your dark divine feminine energy, if you want a script for how to cut people off or set boundaries, this workbook is for you. I need to talk to you positive bitches today about magic mind. It's my little magic in a bottle, if you will. If you don't know, I've been on a hormone healing journey and it has been an emotional and physical roller coaster. I recently went to a homeopathic doctor and I had to take so many things out of my diet that were causing dermatitis and overall my body to not work at its full potential. And one of the things I had to remove was this excess amount of caffeine. I already knew this amount of caffeine wasn't doing it for me because I would feel really stressed out a lot of the time and like my mind was racing. Yeah, it would give me this boost, but it was beyond that. It was a full Hulk punch boost onto another planet. And it was a bit too much. Anyway, this amount of caffeine was causing me to break out and just not feel like my best. But then when I completely cut it off, there were days that I would wake up and as women, we're on a 28-day cycle. There were some days where I felt really low on energy and my chemicals and hormones weren't where I would like them to be to accomplish what I had on my to-do list that day. And that is when I found this rainbow that led me to a pot of magic mind, which is literal gold. If you're on a hormone healing journey, if you want a boost of productivity, if you want a little energy, and if you want it to be all natural, I started taking Magic Mind before I work out, before I would do a bunch of things on my to-do list. And oh my God, these little green shots are my best friend. They help me get my mind right. They're helping me get my skin right because they're not breaking me out. And they're helping me accomplish what I need to accomplish for that day. The reason why Magic Mind is so amazing, I really feel it comes down to the ingredients. It has matcha, which is way less caffeine than so many of these energy drinks. It also has ashwagandha, which reduces stress and anxiety. Also, lion's mane mushrooms, again, reduces anxiety and inflammation. And this is how we get the benefits of the matcha without feeling, oh my God, I'm so jittery. You have to try Magic Mind if you need a little boost of energy, but you're not trying to go full Hulk punch onto another planet. If you want to try Magic Mind, you can go to www.magicmind.com/positive and get up to 50% off your subscription for the next 10 days with my code positive. Your code will be valid forever as a 20% off for both one-time purchases and subscriptions, but in the first 10 days, it's up to 50% off if applied to a subscription. So, if you are ready to take back your power, take back your body, take back your skin, try Magic Mind. Again, it's www.magicmind.com/positive. And I'm going to link this in my show notes so you can find more information there. And last but not least, I am a certified life and energy coach. If you're looking for one-on-one guidance with me, you can DM me now on Instagram at Vibin with Cece. The link will be in the show notes to find out more about my packages and courses and how I can help you. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. I want to recall a memory from my own life to give you just some comfort that you're not alone at wherever you are. I feel like a lot of us can see people like me, honestly, on podcasts or on Reels or on TikTok, and we say, okay, you're there, I want to be there, but how did you get there? And every single one of us, when you see us on social media, not to speak for everyone, but I guess this is an assumption, we usually didn't start where you see us. We usually didn't start on our most magnetic timeline. We usually had to go through this hero's journey of getting there, which we all have to go through. And that is how we gain these strengths and these characteristics and these attributes. And so if you're seeing me now or listening to me now and saying, okay, yeah, you understand how to do that and you're doing it great, but I'm all the way over here, please understand that I was also at the lowest of low points in my own life many times. Being at a low point is just another point of view. It's just data and it's just information. And you might not be where you want to be just yet, but also remember that you're not where you were starting out either. You're listening to this podcast, aren't you? You're working on yourself, aren't you? So you're not who you once were. Because if you were, you wouldn't be here right now listening to these words. You're not as far back or as low down as you think because you've already made the decision to listen to this podcast, to start working on yourself, to start changing your mindset. The only time we get stuck is when we get stuck in a victim mindset. And if you're listening to this, you're not there. I one time had a therapy session, and this is when me and my current partner got back together. And I was still really triggered at this point because we really didn't have all those conversations necessary to have yet. I understood why he wanted to be back with me. I understood that, or why he did what he did. I understood a lot of that, but I still had those triggers in my body that felt, oh my God, what could happen? This was before I fully understood codependency and anxious attachment. I wasn't aware of those things yet. And I remember I was FaceTiming with my partner, and then he said, oh, I just got off this meeting with this girl who lives down the block from me. And it's so funny. We live in the same neighborhood. And at this time, we just got back together. It was like a couple of weeks. And I'm thinking like, oh no, is he going to get coffee with her? Are they going to start hanging out? Because it was still COVID vibes. And I knew he met up with other female coworkers prior to get coffee and to hang out when we weren't together. So I was thinking, is that going to happen? Like, are they now going to start becoming really close? And then I'm perceiving that as a threat. And then I'm getting really in my head. Oh my God, what am I going to do? This is how anxious attachment sounds. You find a perceived threat and then you spiral about it. So I went to the therapist I had at the time, which wasn't a good match for me. But lo and behold, I told her, I get really anxious knowing he has all these calls with this girl who lives down the block from him. I'm getting anxious that they're getting to know one another and they're really going to like one another. And she straight up just said, well, that's a trait of a very insecure person. I was like, okay, cool. Okay. All right. So, okay. And yeah. And that was it. She didn't really offer guidance about that. Period. And she wasn't wrong. That was true. I really was insecure, not even about myself, but about where we were in our relationship. We just got back together. I didn't fully understand where do we stand. And even if I rationally knew, I emotionally felt unsafe still. And so this is what happens. We get into our own head. We see someone who we deem as having a more powerful position than us. At this time, I was seeing that girl as someone who could possibly be, prettier, or really just had a more powerful stance than me because she gets to talk to him all day long and they're on meetings all day long and they live 5 minutes from one another and I live 45 minutes from him. And so that was, to me, that perceived threat. And what I realized over time is that these sort of perceived threats have completely disintegrated, and it's because of the work I've done on myself. That woman would still be that woman or girl. I don't even know how old she was. I used to go to my gym. Don't ask me why I go to a powerlifting gym. I don't know. Okay. Some reason that's the gym I go to in New York. Anyway, every single person there is a powerlifter or a bikini model. I'm not kidding you. I go to a gym with bikini models and they look amazing. And they literally, this is their job. They do competitions. This is their life. And they are really in the gym all the time. They have their perfect diets and they really work very, very hard. It is a job. Like, these people are in the gym all day, all night because they're in competitions. And so I would go to that gym and at first I felt so insecure going there with him because I'm like, oh my God, there's all these other people here, really women, and they have perfect bodies and I feel like I don't. And I would really get in my own head again, perceiving that these people were prettier or more powerful than me. And then I would create the story that would just dig my own grave. And I still go to this gym and I still go with my partner, but I don't feel these feelings anymore. So my point is, these little seeds of, we can call it what we want, whether you want to call it insecurity or jealousy or any word that you want to call it, really, these seeds can be uprooted and lifted and you can heal. And we're going to talk about 5 things I've done over time that has allowed me, regardless of who is there, to feel best in my own skin, regardless of who is there, to feel like I'm the most popular, prettiest, powerful girl in my own skin. I now don't have to change how I feel about myself based on who's in that environment. I don't now change how I think about myself based on who's in my environment. I think and feel and exist about myself based on my own core, not who is in my environment. And that is what we're striving towards today. So we're going to go through these 5 steps. And the first one, to release these seeds and plant new seeds of prosperity and abundance and self-love, is the old quote of, if you can't beat them, join them. What do I mean by this? I feel like a lot of us, especially me, I would have such a bad mindset towards people who had what I want or had the body or the skin or whatever they were doing that I aspire to have. And I would get just this angry feeling towards them and just like, ugh, whatever. But what I learned to do, instead of trying to beat them, I've learned to join them, aka learn from them. I switched up my perception. And when I saw someone have what I want, instead of seeing them as my competition, I started to see them as my cooperation. Cooperation. My co-founder of my new destiny. I started to see them as people I could learn from rather than people I have to be better than. And that made all of the difference. And we're just on step number 1. The people who have the body you want, the skin that you want, the grades that you want, the job that you want, instead of seeing them as competition. See them as someone you can learn from and start learning from them. Do you know how much easier it is to learn from someone else rather than having to forge your own path? Think about if you've ever walked in snow. The first person who's walking through 5 feet of snow, it's hard to make all your little footsteps. But let's say my partner is to walk in front of me in the snow. Now I can just put my feet where he put his feet, and it's going to be much easier for me to walk along that snow path. When we start seeing the people who we want to be like as our inspirations, as our teachers, as people we can learn from, instead of someone we have to go against, oh my God. Become friends with them, learn from them, welcome them, rather than making enemies out of them. Because making an enemy out of someone you want to be like, it only makes your vibration more fine-tuned to what you do not want. It doesn't put you in the vibration you want. Let me tell you a story about Hershey. Hershey, that's right. The chocolate Hershey. And Reese's. Let's talk about it. I know people say Reese's all different ways, like Reese's and Reese's. I don't know, but I say Reese's, and that's how I'm going to say it. Hershey had his own candy factory, which was very successful. And he was this really first person to bring over chocolate, and I believe it was milk and caramel into a factory. And Reese's worked for Hershey. But eventually, Reese's was like, F this, I'm going to start my own candy company. And so he did. Reese's used the knowledge he gained from Hershey to start his own candy company. And he created what we know now, which is that peanut butter covered in chocolate, the little Reese's peanut butter cups, those. And instead of trying to go against Hershey, he learned from him and he used Hershey's factory to get the chocolate to cover the peanut butter. Hershey could have seen Reese's as his competitor. Reese's could have seen Hershey as his competitor. But instead, they saw each other as a cooperation. They saw each other as someone they can work with. And they remained friends throughout the years, and Reese's ended up being one of Hershey's most successful chocolates. And Reese's, again, he didn't see his boss as competition. He saw him as someone he can learn from, who he can use his resources. Instead of having to find how to make chocolate, how to get the milk, how to do the peanut butter thing, instead of having to do all of that, he just learned from his own boss and then ventured out on his own. When you befriend people who have the success or whatever it is that you want, you become more like them because remember, we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. When you befriend and you welcome in someone who has what it is you want, you start also attracting those attributes towards you. You do not get what you hate on. Hating on the popular kids doesn't allow you to become friends with them. Hating on the popular kids actually attracts the opposite towards you. Hating on the pretty people, whoever you deem as pretty, which is so different in every single person's eyes, but whoever you think is pretty, the more you hate on them, the more low vibration you attract towards you. Listen to me? No. Hear me when I say, you are not in direct competition with any other human being. It's you and your life, okay? If you're going to compare yourself to anyone or anything, compare yourself in a way that inspires you to be better, inspires you and motivates you, gives you inspiration to develop in a way that you've been wanting to develop. So if you're comparing yourself just to compare yourself, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you compare yourself in a way that motivates you, inspires you, or gets you the information you need to move forward, now that's another story. So step one is seeing the people who have what it is you want as your friends rather than your enemies. Because what happens is once, for example, I call them muscle mommies. I don't know. I don't know why. But once I started letting in the muscle mommies into my life, I started to watch what they were doing on the machines. I started talking to them. I started following their Instagrams. I started to see what they did so that I can learn how to do that too. And now instead of me feeling like I have a chip on my shoulder because I'm not yet a muscle mommy, I start seeing them as inspiration. I start seeing them as my teachers. I started seeing them as people I actually wanted to get closer to rather than hate on them and move away from them. We have to understand in this huge, big world, there's enough room for everyone. And this is really step two. There's enough room for everyone. I remember last year I still do this, but I would take so many walks on the beach. And this is when this spiritual download hit me. It was last year. And I would look at over the water and I would just look at the ocean because I'm living on the ocean right now. And I would just look out over all the waves and I would just think to myself, oh my God, there's so much energy out there that isn't even being used. There's so much energy on this planet that's just stagnant or waiting to be activated. And it's all around us. We can't see gravity, but it exists and it's all around us. We can't see all the untapped energy forms around us, but they're there. There is enough room for every single person on this planet. For everyone. Someone else's success or beauty or talent does not take away from your beauty, success, or talent. I always think about all the fitness influencers, even all the wellness influencers and life coaches. There's a million different people. Am I worried about the other life coaches? Absolutely fucking not. Why? Because I am my own energy and I bring my own unique gifts and talents and knowledge and spiritual downloads. And I am using my voice, which has my own specific frequency that's attracting my tribe. I don't have to try hard. I can exist from my pedestal and use my voice to call on my tribe and attract them towards me. Someone else's path to success is going to look different from yours. I would get into my head so much, especially in college and when graduating college. I would see people who had their own business or had their workbooks or had everything already done. I mean, yes, they were older than me, but that never has really done anything for me. I don't care about age because I feel like I'm personally 900 years old. So age is not a factor for me, but I would see these people and I could rationally say, okay, they're 30 and I'm 20, but lo and behold, look at everything they have. And I would also see people like, I always think of the Addison Rae, and I honestly, that's the only one I know. All those little people, are both their names? What are their names? I don't know if both of their last names are Dixie or one of them is Dixie. And Charlie, Dixie and Charlie. I think of those girls who are all beautiful, by the way, and super talented in their own ways. And I would look at them when I was first starting out on TikTok and I was like, okay, why would they just blow up and someone else wouldn't? Why would this happen and this wouldn't? And remember, when we ask the questions of why, that is really just a trap. If you want to ask your question, don't ask why, ask what can I do, okay? Because why will have you in a hamster wheel. Why did this happen? Why does that happen? Why blah, 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 blah. Forget about it. Ask, how can I make myself better? What can I do to make myself feel better? How and what, do not ask why. Anyway, I came to the realization of, wait a second, everyone's path to success is going to look different. And their life is going to look different than mine and someone else's. And the interesting thing is, you don't know what other people's spiritual lessons are. You don't know what other people's spiritual assignments are. So you might be hating on someone, but you have no idea what they're meant to learn in this lifetime. You didn't sign up for that shit, or else it would be happening to you. You signed up for a different experience, and that's why a different experience is happening to you. Realize that there's polarity in the world. So if you feel like you've been underrated for a minute, that's not going to last forever. Because as long as you felt like you've been underrated, you're also going to have your season of being in the spotlight. Okay. And that could mean with, significant others, with dating, with success, with anything. It could be applied to anything. There's polarity in the world. And a lot of times people will be huge for 15 minutes, but then we don't really hear about them ever again. They have their big 15 minutes, and as soon as it came, it also goes. If you want to build something that's everlasting and sustaining, take your time with the building process. Because as long as you're building, you will also have that success. So keep in mind, first things first. If we can't beat them, we join them. We learn from them. We understand from them. Number 2, we know that they are on a completely different spiritual journey than us. So they're going to have different strengths and weaknesses. They're going to have different highs and lows. And we're going to be in cooperation with them rather than against them. And their success and their beauty does not take away from what we have going on for ourselves. This brings us to our next point, our third point, which is focus on your strengths. This is really a game changer. If your soul wanted to be a completely different human being, you would have incarnated as them, okay? There's something special specifically about you and what you have to offer. There's something special about you and this incarnation. There's something special about your strengths and your weaknesses and your gifts and your shadows. There's something special about all you have to offer. If you were meant to be someone else, you would have incarnated as them. So there's literally no point to waste your time wishing, praying to be someone else when you can just start exploring your own strengths, what you have to offer, your own unique gifts. Your unique energy and your unique makeup was called to be on planet Earth for this season, okay? You wouldn't be here if you didn't have a purpose embedded in your energy. Your unique energy has something special to offer this world. Some of us have bigger visions, bigger ideas than others. It doesn't fucking matter. You helping one person cross the street could have immensely shifted their life. Do not think that these quote unquote small acts of kindness aren't completely shifting other people's hearts and energy. You might have to find out what the fuck your strengths are, but lo and behold, they exist because you exist. So there's something in fact special about you. When I would see someone and I'm looking at all their strengths, I was also ghosting my own strengths. In being hyper-focused on what someone else had to offer, I was forgetting that I too had a lot of things to offer. So ground yourself. Think, I might not be them, but I too have amazing qualities, and write them down. Start writing down the qualities you have or the qualities, strengths that you wish to have, and then have a plan of how can I develop this? What do I need to do? Don't compare yourself to everyone and everything. Don't try to diminish their achievements. Well, they had help, blah, blah, blah. Don't waste time lowering your vibration. Instead, go hard at just becoming whoever it is you want to be. You are the divine feminine energy. You have that within you. And the divine feminine energy is all about creation. You're not stuck in this role that you created. You're not stuck in this energy that you might be embodying right now. You might have to unravel your current energy to find the root of your true energy, which brings us to our next point. Number 4. I call it the D&D, the ditch and design. Let's get into this. What one person thinks is pretty might be completely different to the next. So instead of trying to look at what society deems as pretty or popular or a good life, I want you to start journaling about what beauty is to you, what success is to you, what you want your body to look like, your life to look like. What are these things to you? Beauty or success looks to me like blah, blah, blah. And this is what I'm going to do to get it. Blah, 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 blah. I have to say one thing. I know there's a lot of people saying, just accept who you are. Just accept it. Just accept whatever it is you got going on. I don't believe in that if you're not enjoying your incarnation. And this is what I mean by that. I don't want you to necessarily hate your way to health and a good life and success. I want you to love your way there. But I also want to say, you don't have to stay where you are if you're not happy. If you don't like what's going on, I don't know why we would accept that. If I was being verbally abused at work, I wouldn't just be like, acceptance, accept everything. No, why would we do that? If you're verbally abusing yourself, I wouldn't say to just accept that. I would say ditch and design. D&D, girl, D&D. So what I mean by this is if you don't like what's going on, that's okay. A lot of us have created these roles in order to be loved, validated, and accepted, and we have really ghosted our true authentic self. And now we have attracted a world in which it's aligned with our role instead of our true nature, and we don't feel good. So you don't have to just accept what you have and what your life is. You can ditch and design. You can say, okay, here are the people I'm going to look to for inspiration. Here are going to be my teachers. Here's who I'm going to listen to. This is what my plan is going to be. You can redesign what you have going on. You don't have to just accept the shell you made when you were 7 years old because you needed mommy and daddy to give you an extra hug. We don't need to do that anymore. This is about designing the life you wish to have. You are a co-creator. You have divine feminine energy. You have God creating abilities within you. Why wouldn't we use those to our advantage? I don't understand that. So no, I'm not going to tell you to just accept whatever it is you have going on. If you don't like it, don't accept it. Hello. But we can also acknowledge, okay, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm also not where I was. So I don't have to be in this mad rush. That's number one. Number two, I don't have to hate myself to health because that's going to fucking suck. Instead, I can love myself there. I can have compassion with myself every single day. I can motivate myself every single day. I can talk to myself pretty. We can get where we want to be and we don't have to make it a terrible journey. Because really the happiness comes in the journey. As soon as we get what we want, we're like, okay, that was cool for 1 second. What's next? I've had that happen to me so many times. When I hit financial goals or numerical goals with followings, I was like, yay, cool, awesome. Now what? And you just immediately go to the next goal that you have. The thing I found has sustained me throughout my whole entire life is my connection with God, because God is always there for me. God will always listen. God's presence is everywhere at all times, no matter what. Maybe you call God the universe. I personally don't care what word you use. I care that you have this connection with your higher power, okay? And this is what will sustain you through the different versions of yourself, because there's going to be different versions of you. This is what is going to sustain you through different jobs, friendships, relationships, money, everything. I mean, nothing feels as good as connecting to God. I honestly just recommend connecting with the universe, your higher power, your angels, your spirit guides. And that's also an amazing way to help ease the journey, because you're going to realize that you have support. And also you're going to realize you're not in this alone. And you're going to realize that there's a greater plan here and you're already on it. Okay? That was just a side note. And finally, we get to number 5. The fifth thing we can do to not be insecure about the pretty, popular, whatever people that are around us. And that is to gain perspective about life. It's really easy to get lost in the daily hustle and bustle. But if we were to zoom out of our current circumstance and imagine that we're 100 years old, looking back on your life, what do you think you're really going to care about? Are you going to care about the pretty girl at the gym? Are you going to care about what someone else got on their test? Are you going to care about the person you deem is more powerful than you and feeling insecure about them? Or are you going to care about who the fuck you were and what you did with your life? Are you going to care about what the things you did that made you proud, the people you've helped, the people you've touched, the people you've transformed? Are you going to care about that you pushed yourself past your potential? Are you going to care about maybe the family that you raised and affected, the people you affected? Are you going to care about where you donated your time, your energy, your money? Or are you going to care about the girl that looked like an Instagram model who you felt insecure about? What are you actually going to care about at 100 years old? Because to me, I'm going to care about who I affected. I'm going to care about leaving the earth just a little bit better than what I found it to be when I was here. I'm going to care about actually transforming people's lives. I'm going to care about keeping myself to a healthy standard and feeling good every day. That's what I'm going to care about, the love that I was able to give and receive. I'm not really going to care about the girl at the gym with the big booty. Gotta be honest. When I think about it, I'm like, well, why would I, Gain some perspective. Gain some perspective on this. And I'm going to give you a bonus that I didn't even write down, but now that it comes to mind, I think I would love to say it. If you're spending your time and energy going out of your way and doom scrolling on Instagram models, whoever they may be, put your phone down and go outside, okay? Thank you. Put your phone down. You can listen to a podcast that's not about whatever it is that you're looking at on your phone. You can listen to a frequency. You can journal, call up a friend. Don't doom scroll, because then it's like you're not even going in public and being insecure. You're bringing it into your own home, your own temple. And that is a waste of time, energy, everything. And time, that's a non-renewable resource. You're not going to get that back, okay? Especially as how we perceive it here. So, how do we not be insecure around the 3 Ps? Pretty, popular, and powerful people. Well, let's recap. If we can't beat them, we're going to join them. They're going to be our cooperation, not our competition. Remember the Hershey and Reese's story. We're going to celebrate what they have so we can attract it towards us. And remember, you're not in direct competition with anyone. 2, there's enough room for everyone to have what it is they want. God wouldn't give us this planet and then say you can't have what you want. Their success and their beauty does not take away from your success and your beauty. 3, focus on your strengths. You have unique capabilities that no one else has. You need to find out what these are. Write down a list of what you think they can be. Write down a list of what you'd be interested in and explore from there. 4, ditch and design, D&D. Ditch the shell of who you no longer want to be and start designing what you think beauty is to you, what success looks like to you, and start creating an action plan from there. 5, gain perspective. When you're 100 years old, you're not going to care about the Instagram model who you've never even spoken to. And our bonus little seed was stop inviting insecurity into your own temple by doom scrolling every single day. If this podcast resonated with you, please leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps the podcast so much, and it means the world to me that we can reach other positive bitches. If you don't want to do it for me, do it for you, girl. That's just some good karma. I mean, why not? We can all use some. The sparkle in me, as always, honors the sparkle in you. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It has been such an honor. If you want to get Magic Mind, you can find the link down below. If you want to follow me on Instagram, all the links are down below. And I will see you in the next one. I'm sending you all the love in the world. Mwah.